Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space on all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Sunday, and we actually just dropped a thought piece this past Sunday, so be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you are looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available on 12 different podcast platforms for your listening leisure, and we've provided you with access to the links in the description down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like our conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And today our topic of discussion is mental health. And on the topic of discussion on mental health, I'm going to change things up a bit and be a little bit unconventional and suggesting that sometimes when it is the case that we need a boost, there is wellness achieved in well-doing. So I'm going to talk about ways that we can contribute and support the communities and the people around us, and how that in turn supports our own mental health. So I am someone who really enjoys wellness and well-doing. I love being able to support and to help people where it's appropriate, and that's also why I have mixed feelings around altruism and whether or not humans actually have the ability to be altruistic, because if it feels good to do good, then is it really altruism, right? If we get a benefit, if it's a win-win, then is it altruism? And that is a completely different conversation. But I do want to talk and define well-doing and talk about what it is and also what it isn't, because I think that there are some trends going around where, it's sort of masked or marketed as well-doing, but it's not, because it's exploitative. Which I think brings me to the first point. Well-doing is not putting a camera in someone's face, exploiting their hardship, exploiting, the rough times that they're going through, and showing yourself as the hero because, you're giving them food or you're giving them money so that you can get accolades in a digital space. I think that is quite grotesque. I think that is disgusting, and I don't think that that's well-doing. So if you're someone who does that and you're watching this platform, that is not my definition of well-doing. I don't think well-doing is something that needs to be public, and in fact, if it is really for the purpose of supporting someone else, they probably prefer it to be private, because no one wants to be publicly going through hardship and going through struggle. It can create a lot of shame and a lot of discomfort. So I think that people who subject people to additional shame and discomfort while doing well-doing, I think that's not cool. So I do think the first ingredient for wellness and well-doing to really translate as such is for it to be something that is private, or that is at least not on a platform. I don't think that there are platforms required to do good and to support the communities that you serve, or even the people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis, and like one day just doing something that lends support. And the next thing I want to talk about is like there is no well-doing in martyrdom. I am someone who is vehemently against martyrdom. I don't believe in being self-sacrificial to the extent where like I am like bleeding for the sake of someone else. Like, you know that song with Bruno Mars, I'll catch a grenade for you. I will not catch a grenade for anyone, actually. It's not going to happen. It's not who I am as a human. I very much believe in self-preservation, but I do believe that I can support people, I can help people without it being self-sacrificial, and there's no problem with me wanting to preserve myself while also wanting to extend a hand and lend it to others. And I think there's too much rhetoric around that talks about like, is it really helpful if you're not suffering in the process? Are you really a good person if you're not self-sacrificing yourself to your own detriment? And I'm saying, yes, you are. You are a good person if you recognize like where you can help and where you can't, or what the limits of the support you can give it right now are, and then helping within those confines or within those limits. Sometimes being responsive to other people's needs means you meet them where you can. You meet them halfway because you're not in a position to go all the way that you would preferably go, you know, if you yourself were in a different position in life. So I believe that there is no harm in being self-preservative, so preserving your sense of self while also being, you know, being someone who is available to support and to enable others, like within the scope and within the capacity that is appropriate. So I guess to summarize my 2 points, there is no, I don't think, wellness in well-doing if it is the way that you find your way to stardom or martyrdom. I don't think that that's what I mean, but I do think that it is about doing something, doesn't matter how big or small it is, that reinforces our fundamental connection to one another. And I believe that the human experience is a very connected experience in a deep and profound way that we tap into, we scratch the surface of when we are supportive to other people in the way that is appropriate for that given situation or circumstance. When I see your humanity and I take an opportunity to step out of my worldview, out of what's going on in my life, to extend a hand to what's going on in yours, irrespective of what it is that I'm going through, but not to my detriment and also not for the sake of getting accolades, that I am tapping into that deep, profound human connection, and that is good for me. It is good for each and every one of us. It supports our mental health to support other people. And it's something, I think it's like one of those fundamental things that like got lost in translation. Or that became like something that we do for the sake of, you know, getting accolades or getting community hours or being seen as someone who is very communal. I think that it has nothing to do with those things. I think it's like fundamentally human, and it allows us to remember our humanity that is beyond ourselves. It is also the collectivity of the experiences that are happening simultaneously in tandem as we each go and grow through our respective phases and stages in life. For me to like wake up and see what's happening to the people around me, I think that that enables me to recognize that like experiences are never in a vacuum. My experiences are not happening while other people's lives are on pause, right? I think that it's important for us to recognize that the significance of the human experience is in the collectivity of our experiences, and how, you know, I could be celebrating right now and someone else is going through a really hard time, or I could be going through a hard time, but that doesn't negate the fact that someone's going through a really, you know, positive milestone. And if I can step out of my experience to be there and to truly support or to celebrate someone else's, that is me tapping into what I believe is like one of the fundamental aspects of being a human, of the human experience, experiencing life beyond my purview, right? Allowing myself to step into someone else's experience and to support them, whether that's celebrating them and encouraging them, or whether that's like helping them out in like a real tangible way. But I think that we all need to have an opportunity where we put our sense of what's going on in our lives on hold, and we are there fully present for someone else's experience. And again, like however is appropriate for that situation. I'm not here to give you a prescriptive rule book on how to do, you know, and how wellness and well-doing translates. I think each of us knows how it's going to translate for the respective people that it will translate with. And it can be fleeting. It doesn't mean that we're building lifelong connections. It doesn't mean that we're bonded for life, that we're gonna prick our fingers and have a blood clot. Like that is ridiculous. It doesn't mean any of those things, because we don't need those things to reinforce our connection to one another. I don't need to, you know, purport support that my femininity connects me to other women. I don't need to make a claim to further reinforce our connection. I just need to tap into it from time to time to remind myself that being human, living this human existence involves my personal experiences in this life and also adjacent experiences to mine that can help nourish me in the way that I show up for others. And I think that there is nourishment, there is healing, there is perspective, grounding perspective that comes from stepping out of our own lives. Wellness and well-doing comes when we give ourselves an opportunity to not be self-centered, to not always have our focus on ourselves, on our lives, on our objectives, on our milestones, but to do something that helps other people. And seeing that, like, in helping other people, whether it's the advice we give or whether it's, something else, I think that it reminds ourselves that life is beyond our current vantage point. It is more profound than what we're currently experiencing, and tapping into that connection can be a life force that you have no idea, like, to what extent it will continue to propel you forward. It will continue to propel you yourself forward. So that's what I wanted to come in here and talk about. I want to talk about, like, how we can support our own mental health by stepping out of our own experience and stepping into someone else's, by giving ourselves an opportunity to be present for someone else, to be mindful of someone else's needs, to be mindful of someone else's, situations, irrespective of our own. I think sometimes what we need to support our mental health is to stop thinking about what it is that we need and start thinking about, well, what can I do to support the people around me, or this one person, or so on and so forth. I think sometimes giving ourselves a break from our own inner world is really, really important, because it helps us remind ourselves, it gives us that perspective that life is so much more extensive than my own purview of it. Like, what I'm going through is a grain of sand on the beach of what everyone around me is going through as well. And sometimes for perspective or for a refreshed outlook on how to deal with my own life, I need to, like, put my issues on the back burner and support someone else. And that has helped me quite a bit. It has helped me stay grounded, stay centered through the most turbulent times of my life, or in my life, to take a pause, step out of, like, what my lived experience is, and to step into someone else's, or to try to support someone else, or to try to be there for someone else. Not to reinforce a feeling of superiority or inferiority, which sometimes is the reason why people do this, but to reinforce that, like, I am one grain of sand in the collective experience that is the human experience happening all around me across 7 billion other people, right? And that is profound. And I think sometimes we lose sight of the depth that is the human experience. And I think about it quite a bit. I'm a bit of an existentialist. I like to think about how deep things are that we take for granted. Like, even like life, living, breathing, it's such a profound experience that we take for granted because we don't take the time to reflect on how many people maybe don't have that opportunity, or have lost that opportunity, or in the process of losing it, or mourning it, or grieving it for themselves or for other people. And to what extent should that inform how much more I should value it? So I think stepping into other people's experiences help us see and recognize the depth and the level of and how profound our own personal experiences are, whether we're going through a high or low, a very stressful period, or low, very sad period, or a great period. Just remember, everything that you go through means something. There is meaning in every moment that this life allots us. And I think that sometimes when we think about meaning as something being in the future, we lose sight of the meaning happening all around us in every moment of every day. And I think that that is something that fuels me. It helps me to never take anything for granted. It helps me to recognize that everything is information, and all that information is informing my being, my sense of self, my journey, my overall pursuit in just achieving the highest and becoming more aligned to the highest version of myself. I don't think I can do that without being cognizant of the community around me and of tapping into the community around me as well. So I want to jump on here and talk about that, to give you that perspective, to recognize that there is wellness and well-doing, and connecting or and having a real conscious experience of the connectivity that we're always engaged in as a fundamental aspect of our own individual humanity. So that was it for today, but definitely not all. But before letting you go, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we will be going live at least twice a month, every month, for the foreseeable future on our Facebook page. So definitely be sure to tune in. Now, these events are paid events, so if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest that you take a look at one of our package plans. Yeah, so we do offer package plans over and above our live events, as well as webinars and workshops largely focused on self-mastery over and above those live live events. So definitely be sure to check those out. And if you're concerned about the pricing, please don't be. We do offer Afterpay, which gives you the opportunity to make payments in 4 installments over a period of 6 weeks. And yeah, that's it for today, but we're on the road to 1K. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel, follow us on all of our social media channels. Help us be the change we want to see in the world around us by being a hashtag game changer, part of our game changing community. And I look forward to chatting with all of you very soon. We'll talk to you later.
I just feel like no one's listening.